Hi, I'm Chris Barber.
I'm Coleman Glenn.
I'm Grant Schnarr.
I'm Andy Dipper.
I'm Scott Frazier.
I'm Ray Silverman.
What is the secret to a good, healthy, happy romantic relationship?
The secret to a good, happy, healthy romantic relationship. In 1 minute or less, this will change your life. No, I mean, relationships take work.
We sat down with different Swedenborgian ministers to address the most powerful philosophical and religious questions of all time, ranging from biblical contradictions to romance to the meaning of life. Welcome to Big Spiritual Questions. In this episode, we wondered, what is the secret to a good, healthy, romantic relationship?
In the new church, we are, you could almost say, very idealistic about marriage. It's a very romantic concept that when a couple meet and fall in love and develop a relationship, that relationship has the potential of lasting to eternity. We know that not all relationships do last to eternity. So what do we need in order for that to happen?
You know, we don't say in the new church, until death do you part, because we really do believe true love lasts forever and grows forever. And when you think of love as being eternal, not just a contract for so many years, it lifts it outside of just the two of you and makes it something special.
Things like how somebody looks or what their hobbies are, that's more external. So in a relationship, set the right priorities where what you share with somebody are things that are more permanent, more eternal, more internal. And the other things will actually fall in line.
If you want to help your marriage, the best thing you can do, or the first thing you can do, is work on yourself.
It's a theological truth that everyone goes to heaven one by one, and this can sound harsh, but it's actually of great relief. You're really responsible for doing your own stuff. You know, there's a marriage within of putting the truth together with good, and that's where happiness comes from. And that's what the Lord asks you to do. Sharing that with another person, that's great too. But in terms of your boundaries, you can't save anyone else. You're not supposed to save anyone else. And happiness doesn't come from trying, because it's a form of control.
Often that means that they've got to learn to override states of selfishness that might arise in them, be willing to put those things aside for the sake of a greater good, which is their relationship.
Well, I come back to sacrifice all the time, being willing to put yourself second so that you can be a benefit and a blessing to others. If you're willing to do that, if you just sort of make that who you are, it doesn't matter who you're working with, who you're dealing with, who you're talking to, who you're serving, you are building a connection with them, one that is meaningful, one that brings the Lord present. If you think about it, it really is that thing that happens at the wedding ceremony, the I do, or the yes, or I will, or however you want to put it. It's that choosing to be present in that relationship. Choosing again and again, and that's going to look different depending on the circumstances. And sometimes it's just going to mean smiling when you want to frown. Sometimes it's going to look like huge, extravagant gestures, but at the core of it, it is, are you saying yes to that relationship? Are you saying yes to your partner? Are you saying yes to the person that you love? If you're doing that, I think that you set up for yourself a good and healthy and dynamic and, if we're lucky, eternal relationship.
Secret to a good relationship is it's not about you. And here's the part that might surprise you. It's also not about the other person. So above what I want, above what you want, is what does it mean to act from love, which is what God is. God is love. So what does it mean to act from love? Sometimes the way to act in a loving way in a particular relationship might be to say, I can't be in this relationship anymore. Or, hey, we need to take a break or move apart. Sometimes the way to act in a loving way in a relationship is to do something completely opposite, to say, hey, I need to invest more in you. I'm sorry I haven't invested more. But if we're focused on that question, how do I act from love, rather than am I getting everything I want, are they getting what they want, it shifts the focus. But even if you are the only one acting it, you can't control what your partner is going to do. But you can control your own actions. And so if you are asking that question, there can still be a healthiness in a relationship, even one that could be better, even when your partner's not doing everything, but at least then you can be in a healthy place and move the relationship towards a healthy place by asking that question of how do I act from love?
If you have God as the center of your relationship, it's bigger than the sum of both of your parts. It's very easy for people to say, well, we love each other, we'll get along with our love, until they don't feel that anymore. And then all of a sudden there's like, well, what about me? Or what do I really want out of this? Or what am I willing to give? But when God is at the center, you have something to look outside of yourself and to follow. So even in those times where I might feel like, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to care about that person anymore, I might simply think to myself, look, that's what God wants me to do. It's the right thing to do. And once I get back on that path, all of a sudden I care again. All of a sudden I'm there. I'm back into the relationship. That's why it's so important to have God and authority greater than yourself. I mean, he says, forgive and you will be forgiven. Go the second mile. Love your neighbor as yourself. And it's easy to do that when the neighbor lives across the street or somewhere else. But when you have the neighbor sleeping in your bed, using the same toothpaste as you, but squeezing it the wrong way in the tube, or whatever it is that irks you about living close to someone, well, that's a great way to work on your spiritual growth. And so we don't think about it, because we could be pretty mean to our families or to the people that we love and so nice to others. Well, the Lord is saying, no, you want a good relationship? Well, take the things that I have taught you about love and forgiveness and everything else and apply them right here to the people who are closest to you. That will make for the best relationship in marriage, family, or any relationship.
So when you see differences in a relationship, you got to ask, is this a matter of opposition, which is a bad thing, or is this a matter of complementary traits or specialization? For example, if one person is neat and one person is less neat, is there a way you can cast that as specialization? So then you can rely on other people, you can trust them, they can be useful, you can be useful to them, and build a more complicated, organic, dynamic whole, and use your relationship to serve the neighbor outside. Because if you can do that, then you're not going to run out of happiness. You're looking outward, it's magnanimous.
So the secret to a romantic relationship that turns into a conjugal or a spiritual relationship is following God and keeping God's commandments. That's basically the secret. The book that I found in the library many years ago was called Conjugal Love by Emanuel Swedenborg. When I met my wife, I thought that God had brought us together and would keep us together forever, and I was going to write a book about the eternity of marriage. And I went to do my research, found this book, and on the last page of this book, Swedenborg answers your question. He says, I replied that they did not know this because they did not go to the Lord and live according to his commandments, refraining from evils as sins and doing good. For truly conjugal love, with its delights, comes solely from the Lord and is given to those who live according to his commandments. So there's the secret. If you want a great romantic love that becomes a very deep, eternal love, go to God and keep the commandments. If you just want a purely physical, carnal, fleshly relationship, you can have that, but that'll burn out. But if you want a deep spiritual relationship, you will subscribe to the greatest miracle of all, which is the keeping of the Ten Commandments. I mean, the giving of the Ten Commandments, and then the miracle happens within you, which is from being a natural person concerned merely with the flesh, you become a spiritual person who's concerned about the spirit within the flesh. You change, and your spouse changes, and together you grow and become as one. When Swedenborg met a couple who had been living for thousands of years in heaven, he said, "You two are one." And the man said, We are two bodies, but one soul. I love that.
There is no secret to a good relationship. And if there was, why keep it a secret? Just work on yourself, work toward God, and choose love every day. Of course, these are our beliefs, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. So, leave a comment below and we can learn from each other. If you'd like to know more about our church, check out our website at newchurch.org. And if you're interested in talking with other people about spiritual topics like this, consider heading to grandhumanproject.org and finding a group that seems right for you. Thanks again for watching, and stay well.